I'm Andy and I want to share with you a little behind the scenes of how we create fire for Tim and Bash. This is a shot for the next episode featuring a Wendy house that gets set on fire for Bash to do some fire training. So this previs gives us a basic idea of what we're going to aim to make. You can see there's some basic geometry here to resemble the fire and the smoke, and that's our target as to what we want to create in our simulation. So the first step is going to be to paint onto the shed all the areas that we want to set on fire. This is then going to be our base to create fire for the simulation. And we'll take this into EmberGen, which is the software we use to create our fire for the simulation. The first thing I need to do here is to create an emitter, and this is going to inject fire into the scene. Fire is simulated based on combustion, so fire is a combination of fuel, heat and oxygen, and that's what creates fire and then creates smoke. So to start off with, I'm going to actually turn the smoke off, just so I can focus on how the fire works, how hot it will burn, and the size of the flames and overall energy of the movement. Now I can start to bring the smoke back in. Smoke actually removes a lot of oxygen from the scene, so it tends to smother the fire. So it's a bit of a balancing act, trying to work out how much smoke you want versus how big you want the fire to be. And this will be my first pass on the fire and the smoke, where I'm just trying to get into the rough ballpark of what we're aiming for, and then I can start to go on to the next stages. And the next one is going to be adding a collider. It's going to prevent the fire from going inside the shed as it burns. So this is just some basic shapes that can fill the inside of the shed, but I'm making sure to leave a little bit of room so that the fire still has space to actually burn and grow. If I make that collider overlap with the emitter, then no fire will be created. So with that in place, I can then make a few more tweaks to the size and the shape of the flame, looking at how the fire is separating, kind of creating forks in the fire, the overall shape and speed of it, just trying to match it up and make it kind of fit the right sort of size and scale and speed. And once I'm happy, I'll move on to the shading of the fire. The color of the fire is driven based on temperature, so this color ramp here is going to give the fire a certain color depending on how hot it is. And I have a few different presets saved from previous shots, which I like to use as a starting point for this. And then with the larger flame sorted, I'm now moving on to creating some embers. So as the wood burns, little bits of debris will burn and fly off into the air. And I'm going to try and create that effect using a particle simulation. I want to generate lots of little particles that will glow and fly up, but as they move through the air, they tend to move like erratically based on air resistance. So I'm trying to use a noise texture as a force just to give the effect of that kind of air resistance and make them kind of move around kind of erratically. And then next I'll add some vorticles, which are like small swirling force patterns, and this is going to help add some variation to how the smoke is moving into the air. I want to be able to kind of give it a feel of a natural outdoor air, which might have small little bits of airflow and wind. And I want the smoke to grow a bit more as well, so I'm increasing the simulation area just to get that smoke to rise up higher in the shot. And I'm going to just keep making some tweaks to the shape of the smoke, just to try and keep the sort of the billowing cloud shape rather than letting it turn into this fine mist due to all of the forces that I've added. And now I'll take a look at lighting the smoke, making sure that the light is matching the same direction as the shot. There's a very clear lighting direction in the shot. When you see the shadow that Tim casts, you know where the light is coming from, so I just want to match that up. And then with a few more tweaks, this should be ready to export out and do a quick composite of, just to see how it's looking in the shot, to make some notes ready for the next iteration for the simulation.